Welcome to Whistleblowers in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Welcome to Whistleblowers. This is the bonus ball. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. Mark Clattenburg is here, Ian Ladyman is here, and I'm here as well. It's a remote episode today. We're all very comfortable. Somebody's in Spain, somebody's in the northwest of England, and one of us is in Scotland. I'll let you work out who is who. Right, big story. This is a really big story and a fascinating story as well. So the first female coach in Europe's top 5 leagues has been appointed as an interim manager. So how on earth will she cope with the pressures of that? She's done it before. Marie-Louise Eta became the first woman appointed to manage a men's team. It's Union Berlin in the Bundesliga. She has been in charge for a couple of games before, but this is now up until the end of the season. They're 11th in the Bundesliga. They lost to bottom of the league. They've only won twice in 14 league games this year. She's got loads of experience as a player, by the way. Germany Youth International, Women's Champion League winner with Potsdam. But here she is in charge now until the end of the season. So, Ian, what do you think? I mean, this is the first time it's happened. Do you think the rest of football will follow, or do you think this will be a record that's held for some time by Eta?
I think it'll be a while before we get a permanent full-time women's coach in men's football at a top-level club. I do. It's interesting in this case because what you say to me is, would you think the rest of football will follow? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. It's already been made clear that she's not getting the job because she's going back. She's going to manage the women's team from the summer. Okay, so if she's not getting the job, and that's already been made clear, even if she were, I think they've got 5 or 6 games left of the season. Even if she was to win them all, she's not getting the job. Okay, now if that's like Michael Carrick, people are saying, oh, he's won a load of games as interim, he might get the job. So why is she not in the running to get the job? Now, who knows? Maybe she said she doesn't want the job. I doubt it. So when you look at it like that, what kind of an example is it? Is it a real example of progressive forward thinking, or is it just a bit of tokenism? Because really know the noise that will and the publicity it will generate, and that the way they'll be perceived, i.e. as a kind of very modern forward-thinking football club. Or so is it that, or is it a gesture? I don't know, because only they know the way they're thinking. But it does interest me, the fact that whatever happens, she ain't getting that job. Is that the right message or the wrong message? I'm not sure about that.
Well, there's an interesting, again, there's a bit of nuance in what the director of men's football, a chap called Horst Held, said. He said, we've got 100% confidence in Louis, complete conviction. I find it insane that we have to deal with this in this day and age, and that was in response to some of the criticism. But my response to that as a journalist, if I was in the press conferences, all right, well, if you've got 100% conviction in her, give her a job. That doesn't seem to have been asked. So Mark, what do you think? Do you think it's showing a little bit of a mixed message from the club?
We could say that because you said she's only in interim charge till the end of the season. I think if you're going to do it, I think they should have given her the chance. And if she produces the results and she does well, then there could have been an option to say, look, you're gonna carry this forward to next season. But I think the message is like I understand what Ian's saying. It's like a token gesture to say, look, we're going to give you this chance till the end of the season. She's certainly got capabilities. She's done it before. I looked at some videos at our first training session. The players looked like they were enjoying themselves, maybe for the camera, but they looked like, they were enjoying themselves. She's certainly got a style. The club know her really well. The players will know her as well, of course. And I think it's a no risk situation, I think, for Berlin, because they're not going to get relegated. Ian, let's be honest about it, and I think it's a chance. It's certainly raising women's coaching credentials that you can do it in the men's game. That's a wonderful achievement. But I still believe that if they really wanted to do it, they could have given it to her full time and said, look, this is your chance, but not for a handful of games. And at the end of the season, even if she wins, what happens if she wins every game till the end of the season, Ian? And what's the message? You're losing your job and you're going back to the women's game. And how does that feel for the squad? What does that feel for the players? That the players are allowing this coach. You know, they're giving their all to this coach because the players will want it to work as well. Of course they will. You know, let's be honest. I think it's a great appointment, but at the end of the season, I think it's a wrong message that they're just saying it's an interim.
You don't want to criticise the club for doing it. I'm not saying that. That would be ridiculous. No one else has done it. So don't criticising them. I'm just saying that I think in terms of before we start kind of jumping up and down about what a great step forward it is for the game, I think we do have to look at that context. And you touched on it there, Mark. It's a dead season for them. I had a look at it. It's a dead season. They're not going up. Sorry, they're not getting into Europe. They're not going to go down. It's a little bit like the Roy Hodgson thing with Bristol City. It was a dead season when they appointed him. And I made my views clear on that. So it feels a little bit like that. I think what is also interesting is you say, the players will want it to work. Yeah, they will. Still not sure. I don't think anyone will really know how male professional footballers will react to a permanent female coach until it happens. Because I'm sorry to say it, but as much as football has moved forward and some of the attitudes in football have become more modern over the last decade, I tell you what, you speak to players in dressing rooms and a lot of it is still the same. I'm sorry. Yeah. A lot of it is still the same. A lot of the language used is still the same. A lot of the attitudes are still the same. And all of that would be really tested when we eventually get our first full-time women's coach for a men's team. Really, really tested. I don't know what you two think about that. You hear the language on the field, Mark, okay? You know what footballers are like.
Yeah.
You hear the language in the tunnel. You know what it's like. It's not moved forward as much as some people would like us to think it has.
No, I understand what you're saying, Ian, and you're right to some point. I do feel the game has changed, you know, from when I was a referee to what I see now and what I hear now. I think certainly at the top level, and I'm talking the top, you know, the top leagues, the Premier League, the top leagues in Europe. I think it is slightly different. Players are completely different now. You know, I think the way they speak to each other is completely different. I don't think there's that banter in the dressing room as much as there used to be. You know, so there is a slight difference. I don't think it's fully there yet, but there is changes. And listen, all this will be is if you know, take it out if she's a man or a woman. If she does well with results and the players are enjoying training again and they enjoy their day-to-day life and they're enjoying football again, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. And if her training sessions are enjoyable and the tactics are working, it shouldn't matter if you're a man or a woman, from my point.
Yeah.
Just a point to ponder. And again, the best bosses I've ever had are women. And just responding to instructions and leadership from women in the industry I work in has been, I think, more productive, better results, all of that on the women. So perhaps we need to be a bit more broad-minded about it, because why on earth should it be any different? I don't know. It's worth challenging yourself on questions like that from time to time, isn't it?
I agree, and I certainly think that when we get one, then the trickle will start, and it might gain pace quite quickly. But it's the one, isn't it? It's the one, and with this one, is it the one? I'm not sure it's the one. It's like half a one. It's a bit of a go at it. It's a toe in the water. It's a toe in the water, isn't it?
It's interesting because clearly there's a lack of female coaches. There must be, because FIFA certainly came out, was it a few weeks ago, and they wanted more female coaches managing international countries. You know, there's still a lot of male coaches managing women's national teams, and FIFA wanted at least one female coach inside that coaching setup. So FIFA must still think that there is a lack of female coaches within the top level. And, this is a clear message, but I don't think, and I know Ian, you were saying now when that happens, it might trickle. I think that trickle will be a lot less than we think. And I think even if she wins one or two games till the end of the season, I'm not sure other teams will do it in the foreseeable future. It will take a while yet, my opinion.
Let me ask you a question, okay? You've mentioned FIFA there, okay? You've spent enough time in your career around FIFA and UEFA, how many women do you see in position of real influence at places like FIFA and UEFA? Because you know what, mate? I don't see very many. How many women is Infantino listening to right now, do you think? Not very fucking many, I would say.
One.
Who's that? His wife?
Correct.
It's true though, isn't it? No, you know what I mean.
I get that.
FIFA can sit there and they can bang on about female representation in football. We'll have a look around your own executive positions, guys, and let's take it from there.
Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister in Italy, would have Infantino for breakfast. I'll tell you that. He'd be terrified of her. One point to make as well, though. I would have worked for, again, thinking of female players, Rachel Corsie, Leanne Crichton, Joelle Murray, all people that I think I would be happy to play for if you think about it like that. People I've come across, they would definitely command my respect in the dressing room. And I'll tell you another thing, right? Here's another prediction for you. In 20 years' time, mark my words, Erin Cuthbert, right? If you haven't spent any time in her company, there's a woman who could command the dressing room. I saw her make mincemeat of Gordon Strachan in an interview that I conducted once. It was brilliant to watch. Formidable, great player. She's going to win everything in the game. And I reckon in 15, 20 years' time, she could be a manager that you might see in the touchline at some level. Right, before we dive back into the football, we're in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Tradespeople, you want to listen to this bit.
Absolutely, because being a Wix Trade Pro member saves you money.
You can save 10% every single time that you shop in store or online. There's no minimum spend, no hassle, just savings.
Brilliant stuff.
On top of that, if you've got a big job coming up, lads, and you need to buy a load of materials up front, with Wix Trade Pro, you can now buy now and pay later. Powered by Billy. Pay interest-free within 30 days or 60 days and track your payment status easily through your Trade Pro account.
That's not all. You can click and collect within 15 minutes. And for even trickier jobs, order online or in store for delivery within 3 hours.
Blimey.
To sign up and start saving, just download the Wix Trade Pro app today. Billy offers unregulated credit agreements, UK businesses only, 18 plus, subject to status, T's and C's and late fees apply. Right, boys, let's finish the bonus ball with a quick run through. Maybe we should do our best signing of the season 25-26 and who we think is our worst signing. Let's just pick one of each and rattle through it, because there are a few runners and riders here. But Mark, if you go first, who would be your best signing in the last season in the Premier League?
Signing wise and value for money wise, I was going to go Janet Xhaka. However, I'm going to go for one of his teammates, and I'm going to go for Robin Roofs, the goalkeeper. He's a young Dutch goalkeeper. They bought him for £9.5 million. And when we talk about goalkeepers, a lot of top teams have struggled this season with goalkeepers, except maybe Arsenal. And to have a goalkeeper that they bought for 9.5 million and perform the way he has, not just saves, the way he plays from the back with his feet, he's comfortable. For me, we're talking about Janet Xhaka in the midfield for Sunderland, but he's certainly been a big, big player for Sunderland. So value for money, for what it cost, and his performances this season, that's why I've chose him.
Good choice. Right, Ian, who's your best signing?
Yeah, really good shout. I did a little list in my Monday column, actually, and Roofs was in and around that. I think it's a fair point, that, Mark. But I did go for Xhaka. I remember being up at Sunderland at the start of the season for a piece I was doing up there, and I was in a taxi talking to the cabbie, and he was talking about Xhaka, saying, I think it's going to be the signing that's going to do everything for us. And I said to him, that signing will either be brilliant or an absolute disaster, nothing in between. He will either lead you somewhere that you don't expect, or he'll get there, realise you're not good enough, and turn it in after about 2 months. Well, the cabbie was right, wasn't he? Because he's been fabulous. £70 million from Leverkusen. It's been brilliant to watch a player. Let's remember how it ended at Arsenal. Pretty badly for him at Arsenal. Booed off by his own supporters on a few occasions. To have the captain's armband taken off him. And to see him go to Leverkusen, win a title with Xabi Alonso at Leverkusen, then come back to the Premier League, lead Sunderland to where they are. I think they're mid-table, but they've been safe for months. Fabulous effort all around. I think Xhaka is, for me, honourable mentions in my list were the United goalkeeper Sen Lammens, who's been transformative for them, Brian and Mbumo for United, Cherky at City, Keenan Dewsbury Hall at Everton, and Calvert-Lewin, I think, at Leeds.
Well, you've just cut me off at the knees because I thought you were leaving me open. Sorry, no, don't worry. I would add another honourable mention for Mookie Elliott at Sunderland, by the way, because I think he's been a phenomenal defender. And you know, I always think it's a sign when you're looking out for a defender in a match because you're impressed by how he commands, and that just the power and the strength of the guy's phenomenal. But it would be Dewsbury Hall for me again because I look for an Everton game now because I want to see him on the ball. And I think that's such a measure of a player, isn't it? When you're excited to see a team pop up on Match of the Day because you're looking forward to seeing what he does when he gets the ball on the half turn and off he goes. I just think he's a joy to watch. And again, David Moyes, the job he's done at Everton, would it have been the same without him as a signing? And I think he's been key to everything that's happened there. Brilliant to watch.
Somebody called that. Did you call that? You called that earlier in the season, didn't you, Ian? You said,
you know what?
One of the players.
Mark, I'm far too modest, but yes, I did.
No, you did.
What I said was that there was all the fuss about Grealish, who I love as a player and as a bloke. When Grealish went to Everton, what I said was that I thought Dewsbury Hall could be the one. I think I told you I interviewed him about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and what a bright boy. What a lovely, lovely, lovely bright boy. There's some footballers, right? And we can talk about this on another episode of all the footballers I've interviewed over the years. I haven't got time for it now. But some footballers, you just know, as soon as they walk into the room, that you're going to have a really good hour with them. And he was one of them. What a boy. And asking questions. He found out that I'd covered United in the Fergie days, and he wanted to know what was Scholes like, what was Keane like, what was Gary Neville. He really wanted to know. And he wasn't indulging me. He wanted to know because he thought he could learn. You know what I mean? Brilliant. I thought he was unlucky not to be in that 35-man England squad.
Should have been.
About 3 weeks ago. I thought he might have squeaked into that one.
But the thing is, it's hard, isn't it? Because then, if I tell you what, I watched one player at the weekend, Ian, and I thought he was outstanding. Alex Scott of Bournemouth. Yeah, what a player! What a player!
I mean, he got into Tuchel's squad in November. He got called up in November. Didn't play a minute. And then didn't get in the 35-man squad.
It's incredible.
I'd love to know what he did.
Incredible.
I'd love to know what he did.
Just so Arsenal fans don't destroy this podcast, can't forget Zubimendi as well, what he's done at Arsenal.
Yeah. Has he been that brilliant? Has Zubimendi been that brilliant?
No, I thought he's been excellent when I watched him. So. Just so Arsenal fans don't destroy it.
Ian touched on it as well, but I have to say that Calvert-Lewin, I'm so pleased for him after what happened at Everton. That was just torture for him towards the end, wasn't it, with injuries? And to see him playing with a smile on his face, and his first trip to Wembley with Leeds as well, that'll be epic. And
for semi-final.
Yeah,
he's another lovely boy. Boy, Calvert-Lewin as well. He really came through. He came through the old school as well, playing in non-league and all the rest of it. He once told me stories about getting bloody noses from non-league defenders when he was 18 and all that nonsense. And it's good when you see players who've had a shit time, come back and enjoy the football again. It's great to see.
Agreed. Right then, we've discussed our top players of the season. Let's turn this on its head and be a bit more pessimistic about the players who haven't lived up to expectation and haven't quite set the heather alight. So, Mark, who would be your choice?
Where do we start? There's that many, and if we're looking at value for money, Isak would be top. But I don't really want to pick Isak because we don't know he's had such a bad injury, and we all know Isak's quality. So I think it's a bit harsh, that to say he's the worst signing of the season. It's not his fault, the transfer fee, and it's certainly not his fault getting injured. We all know Isak's a world-class player. Johan Wissa is a strange one, and you could put him certainly up there. Newcastle something's gone wrong with his injury. He doesn't feel confident enough. And when Newcastle don't bring him off the bench for young William Asula, that tells me everything. Something's certainly amiss, and it's a lot of money. But I'm gonna pick one, and it'll create debate. And I'm going to say Amari Hutchinson to Nottingham Forest, and you could say McAtee as well. Them two players that Nottingham Forest signed were bordering on, we could say shambolic, we could say strange, we could say crazy, that Amari Hutchinson couldn't even make the was the record signing at what, 37.8 million, around that. Let's not talk pennies. So we're talking around the 40 million mark for Nottingham Forest, and not to make the European squad initially was bonkers. So for me, if we're looking at money and what they've added to a squad, Amari Hutchinson and maybe McAtee are the two that I would put together as one.
Yeah, good call. Good call, Mark.
I think Hutchinson was, it's a great shout. I think Hutchinson was a victim of the Nuno, Edu, Keir Jarabshin fallout at the start of the season. He was a Edu Jarabshin signing. Nuno obviously not interested, didn't put him in the squad as a in a fit of peak, but he's a good player. Or he was a good player at Ipswich, at Chelsea. So I'm surprised he's flopped. He's had 2 managers since then, or is it 3? I lose count. But he's had a number of 3 managers since then to impress. Hasn't managed to do it. Forest fans who I know are apoplectic at the lack of impact from McAtee. Obviously, Manchester City boy, absolutely apoplectic about it. When they lost that FA Cup game at Wrexham, a couple of my mates in Nottingham were furious. What they see as a lack of application. So there's really, really good shout, those. I think the Vissa Voltamardi thing at Newcastle is extraordinary. Craig Hope, our chief football reporter, and he obviously covers Newcastle specifically, knows football. He was a good player himself, Craig. He knows football. He said to me straight away, he said, Voltamardi aren't going to work. Even when he was scoring at the start of the season, he said, Voltamardi is not working. He's now playing in midfield. I mean, blimey, how about that? And Delap at Chelsea, injured again.
Yep.
So to hear what you say about Delap at Chelsea would be one as well. Gordon, what about you?
Jamie Gittins for me. You know, Chelsea have got a bit of a thing, haven't they, about taking incredible talent and sucking the life out of them. Like Mo Salah, Kevin De Bruyne didn't work out there. But if you
Graham
remember
Potter.
By the
way, you've got to follow Graham Potter on Instagram.
Yeah, brilliant.
Do it.
Brilliant.
It's a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah,
as I'm sure you can get, not in a good way.
Got you. No, Jamie Gittins for me, right? If you remember, about a year ago, everybody was talking about him. How much did he sign Chelsea?
42.
Was it
42 million pounds?
Yeah. Have you seen, I can't recall seeing him playing. And, you know, like at Dortmund, he was such an exciting player. Comes to Chelsea, and they've got, like, I don't know, they sign players like Pokemon cards, don't they? And I thought he would have been a standout signing.
So who's you? So just to pick up on that, God, who's at fault? Is it the player or is it the environment? We've already mentioned. I've mentioned Delap. On the flip side, João Pedro has been a good signing. Cole Palmer. Players can thrive at Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, but is it the player? Is it the environment?
Yeah, it's got to be the environment, hasn't it? But why would you? I mean, that then says you've only gone there for money. I think.
Just to pick up on your point, Ian, about. Sorry, Gordon, about Voltamardi and Wissa. Can I just, like, as a Newcastle fan, I know Craig, Voltamardi, you can take a risk on. Yeah, Voltamardi, okay, he's gone back in the midfield, he's scored a few goals, plays in the German national team, he's in and out, he'll go to the World Cup. He's young, and you know that you're going to get a future sell on. The Wissa one is the most, if I'm going to put the two signings together, and probably I might just, Newcastle fans might differ. At least Voltamardi can be sold on. Wissa, at 29 years old, is on a 5-year contract at around just over £55 million. That, compared to Voltamardi's signing, is a completely different one for me, and that's why I think Newcastle fans are more angry about the Wissa deal than they are Voltamardi. Even though Craig's right, Voltamardi isn't a Newcastle United player for the Eddie House style of play. So I think the Wissa one is the big one. That's the biggest mystery around why he's not getting in the team, because he's fit. He's not injured, even though it might be a mental issue. I just think at 29 years old, how do you sell a player of that now?
Sometimes it happens. I remember talking to, I remember when Owen Hargreaves was at Man City and could never get fit. I remember Louis Saha when he was at Man United and I remember talking to coaches around that at the time, and both those players at the time, they will sometimes say that medically, i.e. on the scans and all that. They're ready to go. But sometimes it happens, and I think Visser can come through it, Mark. I think he can come through it. Okay, if it's a mental thing, I think he can come. I think he can come through it. He might need a summer, but yeah, I mean, what a disappointment. Yeah.
I tell you, it was another one before we finish. Tyler Diblin, Southampton to Everton.
Yeah, to Everton.
Just to put in the pot. I'm just a young player who you think, and this is where a lot of clubs buy for maybe future, and you think, come on, you hopefully David Moyes will be able to develop into maybe time. But do you get time at Everton? Do you get time at Newcastle? Yeah, you might get time at Chelsea. Maybe you get time at Manchester City. Maybe you can get a bit of time at Manchester United, the big sides. But when you come to a team like Everton or Newcastle and you're paying all that money for, fans don't allow you to have a half a season. You've got to hit the ground running like Dewsbury Hall did, and I think fans don't allow big signings and not performing.
Yeah, it's interesting again that one on that. Imagine being Conor Gallagher this season. I feel like he's been a really unfortunate pawn in financial fair play, and he's been moved around. And actually, every time I see him, I love him as a player. I like the way he plays. I think he's always thinking about going forwards when I've seen him, and he's just slipping backwards in his career. And I don't think it's entirely his fault.
I watched him. I mean, I thought, I've criticised Spurs before for not buying oven-ready Premier League players and buying the likes of, Bergvall and Odegaard who need time. And I thought when they took Gallagher in January, I thought that's exactly what they need. Blimey, I've watched him play. He looks like he can't run. Seriously. Yeah. He's slower than me. Yeah. And I don't know whether there's an issue there or it's just perception, but something's got... he played in the centre of midfield for England in the Euros. There's a problem, wasn't he?
Yeah, something's up.
Something not right there, I tell you.
Yeah, because he's got the natural talent. It's there. But yeah, good suggestions, boys. Really enjoyed that. Thank you very much for listening. We will be back again next week. Please send us a question if you can. Daily Mail, whistleblowers@dailymail.com is the email address if you've got a question for Mark, Ian or me. Get in touch on socials. Mark Clattenburg, would you do the honours, please, and blow the full-time whistle? Thank you very much for watching Whistleblowers. Remember, there are new episodes every Thursday and Tuesday, so don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for even more content. And follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode.